What's going on, everyone? What's up? What's up, Flo? What's going on, everyone? Good evening. Good evening. Starting a little bit later than usual, but I know I know we do have some folks coming in from the West Coast, so I know it's about 6:30 where you guys are at. So usually nine to 9:30 is like a happy medium. I feel like here going through some different names and different setups. Yeah, early bird gets the prize for sure. Hope you had a good weekend, man. Um, So look, again, coming into this week, I think it's a short week coming into the week. We have the Thanksgiving holiday in the U.S. on Thursday, um, and so I think markets are open on Friday. I think it's a half day Friday. I likely won't trade on Friday though. Probably just 3 days of trading this week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'll likely be treating my Wednesday as kind of like our Lotto Friday, if you will. Maybe we will play on Friday. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm thinking the majority of us probably won't be trading on Black Friday. And we'll trade Monday through Wednesday. But as always, I like to start kind of these scans with looking at where we're at on the charts, particularly with the S&P 500 and QQQ. Yes, for sure. Palantir was on my list to look at tonight for sure. So we'll take a look at that. There's some individual names setting up, I think that makes some sense for us. And so I just kind of wanted to walk through some names that I think are making a ton of sense. It's going to be a relatively short watch list for me this week. We only have 3 days. And so I'm going to try and keep it very succinct and very high leverage, high quality over high quantity trades this week. I always preach that, but it's even more important on a shorter week, guys, to keep the quality of the trades that we're taking higher than the quantity of the trades. So looking here on SPY, right? Where are we at on SPY? We basically got this resistance at the 452 area. I think the high last week, the high on SPY last week was 451. 42. So 451.50 break probably sends us on SPY. We probably fill this gap back here on the daily time frame right in here. If I were to zoom in on this, you guys can probably see that right here, right? So it was August 1st to August 2nd where we gapped down and then we fell down. This gap here, right? We've got room all the way up to 453.91, and the daily candle close there. The candle open there is going to be about 454.70. Let's see. Let me make sure. Yeah, open is 454.67. So that's going to be kind of the target here on SPY. If we can break 451.50, that's going to be what I'm looking at to the upside there on SPY. But notably, right, we do have some pretty heavy resistance. We've got one rejection here, two rejections there, multiple rejections right here, right? So if we can break out of 451.50, we likely see a very similar move that we saw down here when we broke 438, right? We broke the 438 area and we got a huge move up. We probably see something very similar here if we can break 451.50. And that's what I'm going to be watching on SPY to see if we can break this horizontal resistance. Now, when I turn my levels on, it gets a little busy here, but you can see, right, 451.54 is my key level. There's a reason for that. If we can break out from this spot right here, we've got a chance up. And if you look at the daily time frame, right, we did get that move up. And then what do we get? I said we probably get some consolidation. Well, where are we at now on SPY? 3 days of consolidation, right? Because if we go into the 1 hour chart, what's the 1 hour chart look like, right? If we drag this all the way over here on the 1 hour candle closes, we closed kind of above it, but we're stuck here, right? We're stuck in this consolidation pattern. We can even raise this up just a little bit here on the hourly candle closes within regular trading hours. That's where we're stuck right now, right? We're stuck in this area. We're stuck in this zone. So again, break down or break out. Notably, we do have some catalysts coming this week, even though it is a short week, right? We've got NVIDIA earnings this week. We've also got Best Buy earnings this week. We've got Futu. We've got some pretty big names of earnings this week that we can play. But again, on this chart here, right, this is where I'm most focused on SPY. It's this hourly consolidation because we've seen this happen time and time again. Horizontal consolidation leads to range expansion in one way, shape, or form. I just don't know if it'll be upside or downside. Right now, everything is telling me upside, right? Looking at the daily chart where the markets are at, it looks like we do have room because if we break 451.50, I think we're going to make this move up to this 450, 437 area relatively quickly. Like, I think that's going to be a very fluid move back up to that 455 area. Potentially, we could potentially see new 52-week highs on SPY this week going into the Thanksgiving holiday. We'll see if that happens, but that's kind of the overall thesis and the overall look on SPY right now. That's what I'm focused on, and that's what I'm watching. Now, when we go over to QQQ, if I turn off my turn off my levels here, go back to the daily. Let's take a look at QQQ and see where we're at. You'll notice a very similar pattern here, right? QQQ did make new 52-week highs. Tech is kind of pushing this rally up. Tech is kind of the catalyst right now on the weekly time frame, right? Very, very strong on the weekly time frame. We got a 3-bar up play right here after we had a downtrend on the weekly, kind of a bull flag on the weekly. That's a pretty strong chart right now, right? On the weekly time frame. Like, QQQ looks poised to go back and get a high of day. That's kind of what I'm looking at here on QQQ on larger time frames. And as you guys know, as we're trading throughout the week, it's very, very important to look at larger time frames. It's easy for us to go in and kind of fall into this echo chamber of being in a 5-minute, 15-minute, hell, even a 30-minute, chart, right? It's very easy for us to fall into this lower time frame view, specifically around like 2 and 5-minute charts. When in reality, it sometimes it helps us to kind of see where we can go when we zoom out on these chart patterns, right? So QQQ, ton of levels up here, right? I'm gonna have to chart some levels up here for us. We'll have to get some of those levels on our chart to the upside, but the reason being for that is we haven't seen these levels since what is that? January of 2022 is the last time we were at these levels, right? Outside of the 52 weeks that we were here, right? The majority of 2022, we traded down here. Like, we're approaching levels that we haven't seen on QQQ since the end of 2021 when the markets were ripping during the bull run, right? This is during the historic COVID bull run. We're essentially, if I turn off these levels, right? Here's COVID. Here's the bull run on COVID, right back up in here into this, 390, 400 level. Well, look where we're at now, right? We're approaching that 390, 400 level again. So massive rip on the technology side, on the weekly time frame, on the daily time frame, right? Very similar here to a daily downtrend, big bounce here and just straight green candles, right? In fact, since October 30th, right, we've had 3 red candles on the daily, right? So very, very similar. Yeah. Very, very similar to SPY, right? And what we're seeing here on larger timeframes on the daily is exactly what we saw on SPY, right? Although we're seeing a little bit more, I think, strength here. We're seeing consolidation, right? So if I go into the hourly time frame here, we can see something very, very similar, right? Very similar to SPY. What we have here is some type of consolidation, right? So if I throw these guys on here, actually, we already have one. Let me delete that guy. Very, very similar, right? Very similar pattern, very similar setup. So here on QQQ, again, we're just looking at a consolidation pattern, right? So when we break these levels, we know that we've got a level to play to the downside at like 380. Upside levels we will have to grab, which we can do right now while I actually have you guys here. I think it's probably beneficial for us to go back and look at some levels that we can play to once we break out of 387, really 387.30, right, is the level that we want to see break. I think that's where I'd be looking at potential levels here. So let's go ahead and throw this level on here on the hourly time frame, guys. You guys know me. I like to do my levels at points where we have support and resistance. So in this case, we push up here, we break over it, we hold it as support, we gap back down, we fall down to our next level. Here we have very fluid price action on the hourly time frame between these two levels. So I think this 383.86 level makes a lot of sense, right? And why does it make sense? Well, right here, we can see that level, how it played on the hourly time frame back in July of this year, July 18th, all the way over here to July 28th, 383.86, right? That's the bottom of this consolidation zone here. It's not a coincidence. It's absolutely not a coincidence that this was prior resistance, flipped to support. Now it's resistance again, right? And then what did it flip to now, right? We got up over it and it flipped to support. So if we break 383.86, where do you guys think we're going, right? We probably fall right back down here to the 380.70 level in the exact same fashion that we did in July of this year, right? Gap down through this level, go to the next level, right? Reject this level, go to the next level, push back up, reject this level, come back down to the next level, right? And so it's these stocks are patterns, guys, and that's what I always try and tell you guys. It's not a coincidence that these things line up the way they do. This is all pattern buying and selling, right? People, people have personalities and people have habits. People do things over and over and over again. Stocks are no different. Stocks have personalities and stocks react very, very similar, throughout the years. So let's go back here and let's try and find some actionable levels. This might take a second here. I'm trying to make it quick for you guys. We're going all the way back here, right? All the way back to January of 2022, because that's the last time we were here, right? And here we are back at this level now, okay? So now we already know, right? We're looking for areas that, we have support, we have resistance, right? So off the bat, I can see a level right here, right? And this is just kind of where my eyes are trained. You're going to get a quasi level building class today as well, right? 386.47. Why 386.47, right? Well, as a stock trader and as someone who looks at technicals and looks at levels, you have to get used to reading the charts from right to left, right? Now, historically, we're all formally educated, at least if you speak English, if you read English, we're all formally educated that speak and read English to read things left to right, right? And it's a little bit different when you're looking at a stock chart. You really have to look at it from right to left. Look at where we're at now and look at where we've been at these levels in the past. Okay. So let's take this level off 386.47. That's the level that I've came up with. But why? Right? Why is that a level? Because as I'm looking left, right, I'm looking for points, and you can see how I have this on Webull. I have this line that kind of helps guide my eyes, right? And so as I pull down here and my eyes are scanning left to right, like right here, I notice this spot right here. I notice a bounce, an hourly bounce spot. Pull down, we push up, pull down, and hold this level on 2 hourly candles. Okay. I like that, right? I like that. That's a good spot. Now, as I look left, what happens at this level? Right. Well, here again, we reject this level. We get up over, we pull down, we try to hold it, and then we reject this level. And as I look even further left, I see what happened back in December of 2021. We pulled down through this level and we pushed back up, and it was resistance, right? But back here on November 30th, this wick shows me that that was support. Okay. So multiple points here at 386.47 where we have prior support becoming resistance and vice versa, right? And that's ultimately all we're looking for in our key levels. If I can find that over and over and over and over again, that's going to help me a lot determine, what is an actionable setup, where are actionable levels that I can trade to. That's ultimately what I'm looking for all the time, when I'm trading. And so the next level I'm going to throw here, just going to throw this guy right in here somewhere, right? Like right in this area, 388 area, basically. 386.47. You'll hear me say this all the time. If we break this level, it likely leads us to this next level. Why do I say that, right? Well, again, let's go left to right. Let's go all the way left. And then actually, let's go left to right. Yeah, let's go left to right. Okay, here. Support, flip down through it. Now it becomes resistance. We fall down to our level at 383.86 that we charted, right? We look left again. We break over our 386.47 level that we just charted. We come right up here. We reject the 388. We fall back down. Where do we fall down to? 386.47. We push back up. Where do we push back up to? 388. Then we hold 388 as support. Prior resistance, now support. Okay. Same thing here. We push through all of our levels. We push through 383.86. We push through 386.47. We push through 388. We push all the way up. We pull all the way back down. Where do we fall to? We hold it as support at 388. We break down through it. We lose 388. We go get 386.47, so on and so forth. You get my point here, right? Same thing here, right? Resistance, now support, break through it, right? Now it technically is resistance. We gap up all the way over it, right? We gap up right on it, actually. We open here at 387.92. So it becomes support. We push up. It becomes support. We push up. It becomes support. We lose it, and then we gap down. Okay. So these levels to me are all actionable levels on QQQ. Now, when we get over 388, we can come back here and chart these levels back out again. Certainly, I guess one level that we probably want to put up here is probably going to be the 400 level, right? Somewhere in this area, 400 psych level. We know that the hourly candles are going to play off that hourly level really, really well. So probably, an area that we need to have charted as we come into to the week on QQQ. Now, as we push up here, we're going to be looking at, left to right again. Do we see any areas or any synergies on this that make a lot of sense to us? And for me, it's this level right here, right? It's this level right at about there. Okay. Looks like we've got a lot of room if we break 388 to go get 393.23. And why is that, right? Well, again, we break through 388 here. We get the hourly candle all the way up there. And I'm looking for this to happen again, right? I'm looking for us to break 388 and go to 390. Break 388, go to 390. Break 388, go to 390, right? Lose 388 or lose 393, go down to 388, right? I'm always looking for fluid price action and fluid moves. And I think these levels right now that we just added, these additional levels on here, I think those are going to give us very, very fluid price action levels to play to as we move forward on QQQ. And we could probably add one more right here, right on the hourly time frame. We can add it right about here, right? And again, why am I adding this level here, right? Well, once we break 393.23, I want a target for us to trade to the upside. You have to imagine that we're going to be trading this on a 5-minute chart. If we break 393.23, I want a level that is going to be actionable to the upside on that same day, trading, on a 5-minute chart. Essentially, if we're sitting at 393.23 and I'm not in a trade yet on QQQ, I want to be able to grab something like a 395 call option because that's the next level up that we're playing to, right? Next level is 395.10. So if we get 395.10 and above, right, and we make that room, that push all the way up to 400 from that level, 395s are going to explode in value, right? And again, I'm always looking for fluidity between the levels. 393.23 leads to 395, right? We break out from 395 and we get this push up right here, right? We get a push into that 396, 397 area, okay? Same thing. When we lose it, we lose 395, we come all the way down here, right, to 393.23, right? And again, we break 393.23, we go to 395, right? And you can see the fluidity right here between these levels. We can see it happen here, we can see it here, we can see it here, right? Ideally, we break 393.23 and we get a move like this that pushes us all the way up into that, 397 area. So I would say if we break 395, somewhere in the 397 area is going to be a price target for me. I don't know specifically where, but on QQQ, I do know that I think that would be a level that I would want to play to the upside, right? Somewhere in this 397 area. And again, why is that, right? Break 395.10, we go to 397. Then we hold 397 and we ping pong here in between 397 and 400, right? Same thing, we come down here, and then obviously we have an all-time high break. And I'm not going to chart that level up there because we know if we break 400, all-time highs at 403.43 are coming next. But these levels are all actionable, right? Break 397.40, go to 400, right? Lose 397.40, go to 395, okay? Lose 397.40, go to 395, go to 393, go all the way down to 388. And so as a trader, this is what we're trying to do when we're building levels. We're always looking for historical points of reference to build these levels on. So much so that when we come back out to the daily chart and we pull it all the way back over here to where we're at in current times, go back into the hourly chart, right? Now, what do we have? Well, on the hourly chart, we have levels to play to the upside now. And see how this 388 area came into play right up here, right on this wick? Very, very close, right? So, when we go into the 5-minute chart and we have our extended hours on now, right? As we're looking at these charts and as let's say we do break 388, we've got a lot of room now up to 393. And then we've got 395, and then we've got that 397.40 and 400 level, right? So we have levels to play to the upside now. So now I'm confident in my upside abilities on QQQ if we get upside moves, which leads me to my next point for the week is that we do have NVIDIA earnings on Tuesday. Okay. So as we start to look at NVIDIA, we need to think about where we're at, what's going on with this chart. Like where are we? What's going on? NVIDIA's been on a historic run. Like let's go out to the weekly chart and let's take a look at NVIDIA, right? Where we've been. This chart is starting to look like a chart from COVID where we're just getting super, super extended. We are consolidating on the weekly quite a bit here. But the case remains that NVIDIA could skyrocket out of earnings, right? All the talk's going to be on AI. I feel like all the talk's going to be on guidance. We did have a mixed bag when we had other blue chip names like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Apple, right? Kind of a little bit of a mixed bag when it came to earnings. I wouldn't say that every single company followed suit here. So I'm not sure, right? But NVIDIA has been on a historic run, right? Going all the way in October of 2022, just a little over a year ago, Nvidia was trading at like 110, right? Down here in the 108 area. Then we hit, 502. So we're looking at like a 400% return just on Nvidia right now. So all that to say, I don't know how much further Nvidia has to go. It kind of reminds me when Tesla went on that massive bull run from 500 back to 1,000, and then it had a really nice correction back down like 30 to 50%, right? So I don't know how much further Nvidia is going to go, but this run has been pretty historic. I think earnings are going to tell us a lot. We'll have to see what the IV is like on those contracts. Nvidia is going to be a name that I'll watch this week, but I probably won't trade it tomorrow or Tuesday for that very reason because of the earnings. And if we're lucky, we'll get some type of flush IV crush play here on Nvidia. But as we come back into the daily time frame again, we're starting to see some consolidation over, consolidation before a new 52-week high. We saw it on SPY. QQQ did get the 52-week high, but we saw the same setup on SPY. We saw consolidation on SPY and on QQQ. NVIDIA is no different here, right? The only difference is that we're not getting horizontal consolidation, right? We are getting some type of range expansion here, right? We're getting some type of moves on NVIDIA. We're just not getting horizontal consolidation. So when we go here and we turn off our extended, what does this look like, right? Apologize for all the levels here again. But as we look at this, and let me take this guy off, right? This is essentially what we're looking at here on NVIDIA. We are looking at a consolidation pattern, and I don't think it's a coincidence that we're getting this consolidation. I think it's just setting up for, an earnings event and earnings move, right? So we'll see what happens on NVIDIA. Again, I likely won't trade this, but doesn't mean you can't trade sympathies out of, outside of NVIDIA. You just have to be careful swinging any sympathies because if NVIDIA's earnings are impacted one way or the other, the sympathy plays will be impacted as well, right? But when we think about sympathies, what are we thinking about here, right? We're thinking about a name like AMD. Okay. AMD is a name that is looking like a potential double top here on the hourly time frame. But if we break this double top, 123.41 comes next, and we have room all the way up to 126.41. Now, let me zoom out on AMD and let's take a look at where we're at on AMD, right? So when we talk about movers to the 52-week highs, AMD certainly has a chance to do it, right? If we can break that 123 spot on the daily time frame, I think we do have a chance to go grab 130 and then 132 eventually. And we've seen AMD move really, really well during the days. We've seen days of 5%. So this is a name that if we do have another 5% day, we could be trading right back up at 130, very, very close to the 52-week high. So AMD certainly does look good. We did break this daily downtrend. Now we're pushing up. But again, you can see how this name's consolidated in the past, right? And when we go on runs like this, like we saw right here, right? Back in, May, we went on this huge run, then we got another gap up, and then we kind of ran up here, and then we got a really nice correction back down from these highs, right? In fact, the correction that we got from here was about a 20% correction, right? A 20% correction on this name. So at some point, we probably will get a nice pullback on AMD. I just don't know if we're going to make a new 52-week high or not, but the setup does look very, very prime for a move out of this consolidation, for a move back up into that 123.41 and then 126 area. Now, another name that I think is interesting to look at is ABGO. It's one that we've talked about a lot, one that continues to make all-time high pushes and go into price exploration mode. This is going to be an interesting setup, right? On the weekly time frame, we saw a massive breakout on ABGO. They had this bull flag, broke out. So when we come back to the daily time frame, right, again, we're starting to see a little bit of consolidation here. We can go into the 1 hour and we can take a peek at this and see what this looks like. But to me, it's not really worth, to me, really, I mean, what we're looking at here is probably this type of pattern on the hourly, right? One that doesn't really hold too much merit for me because it's just, we don't have enough data points here. And we're basically moving between 953 and 981. And we can certainly trade that range, right? I'd want to see a little bit tighter of range here on AVGO for this to be kind of considered that quote unquote horizontal consolidation pattern. But what I do think, and I said it last week, I said if AVGO can break that 958, I think we make a push for 1,000. I said I thought we were going to get it last week, but if NVIDIA smashes earnings, AVGO to 1,000 this week. I think the 1,000 calls will get lit up. We'll have to look at the gamma exposure on those calls, but this could be a huge play this week on AVGO. We'll see what happens with AVGO, but all I can say is if you look at the AVGO chart, when AVGO consolidates, like it did here, we made a massive run, right? We broke out of this pattern on May 17th. And then on May 30th, AVGO had went all the way from here to here for about a 40% move, right? In about 2 weeks. So as the more we consolidate on a name like ABGO, the more I have faith that we are going to see some type of big move on this, on this name. So we'll see what happens here, but NVIDIA earnings this week. Now, another chart that I want to talk about is Best Buy. Okay, this is the daily chart on Best Buy. Let's take a look and see where we're at on the daily chart, right? Here's 2023. So on the daily chart, the first trading day of the year, we opened up or we closed at 77.52. We're now at 68.22, right? So we're down on the year. The interesting thing here about Best Buy, I don't have any levels on Best Buy. I don't think. Yeah, I have no levels here. The reason I kind of like Best Buy, and you guys might find this a little crazy because I typically don't gamble into earnings. I'm thinking that Best Buy could shoot their earnings report. I think like they could have a horrible earnings report, and I think a lot of people aren't going to see it coming. I think a lot of people are thinking Best Buy's reporting earnings this week. You got the Black Friday deals coming out. I think retail traders specifically are going to be thinking that they're going to load up on the call option side on Best Buy, and I could be completely wrong here. But when we look at the electronic sales that a lot of these companies were reporting in their earnings reports during this last earnings season, a lot of companies were down. Apple talked about being down on their MacBook sales. Apple talked about potential risks of the new iPhone sales. You got Samsung. There were rumors out about Samsung sales being down as well. And so when we talk about electronics and home electronics, as inflation prices go up, I'm wondering, is the consumer electronic market going to trend down? And will we see a company like Best Buy guide down because of what all of these other blue chip stock companies have said, right? Apple said that their sales have gone down, like they've declined. We know that Samsung sales have declined, right? Are home appliance sales going down, right? Is the competition getting stiffer for a company like Best Buy? Because you go into a store like Best Buy, you look at all the products that are there on the shelf, and then you go home and you order it on Amazon, right? Or you order it on Apple's website, whatever it is, right? Part of me is wondering, do we see a move to Best Buy, back down, into this like 59 area? That's kind of where my mind is at right now on the weekly time frame. We lose 59, Best Buy's got a chance to fall back down into this 44 range, depending on what this guidance looks like. And I know it sounds crazy because that's COVID lows, but crazier things have happened, and I might be interested in taking some type of lotto position on Best Buy puts going into their earnings on Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday morning they report. I'll have to double check on that. But that's kind of Best Buy. That's what I'm looking at. Now, two other names that I want to talk about tonight before I open it up to you guys to start giving me some charts to look at that you want to look at. Netflix, right? Turn off the levels. Let's see where we're at on Netflix. Again, very, very strong on the weekly time frame chart, right? We've got a really nice uptrend on the weekly time frame. We've cleared out over this, 411 area, and we're starting to make some moves again. So if we can get back over this high that we had in July, right? The high here is 485 to the penny. If we can clear this 485 spot, Netflix, I think, goes back to 520. Now, I don't know if it goes back to 520 this week. Maybe not this week, but I think we've got a chance to get this 520 level. We've got a chance to get back up into the, 560 spot as well. Huge, huge spot on Netflix, and we'll see if we can get it. But again, Netflix, interestingly enough, hasn't consolidated as much as a name like NVIDIA, as QQQ, as SPY, as we're pushing towards these 52-week highs. Netflix has not done that, right? It's just kind of on a straight uptrend. So what I'm going to be looking for here is, we almost got an inside bar basically here on Friday. So a breakout over Friday's high on Netflix tomorrow probably sends this name if we don't gap up. If we gap up, this might invalidate it. Ideally, we're going to open up we'll open up flat. We'll break Friday's high, and then we'll get a nice churn up into that 475 area, 485. And that's where maybe the 485 puts are going to be what's actionable going into the day tomorrow and into the week, right? But we are very, very extended on Netflix. So I wouldn't be surprised for us to consolidate around here and then break out. The next name I want to talk about is Meta. Okay, let's take a look at Meta. See where we're at on the daily time frame, right? Okay, well, here we go on Meta. We did make new 52-week highs. Did we make 52-week highs? No, we did not make new 52-week highs. Not yet. Sorry, I thought we did. We made new 2023 highs, right? 52-week highs on Meta are currently sitting at where are we sitting at here? 353.83, right? So we've still got about $20 of upside range here. Meta is an interesting name, right? Because I think if we break out over this level here on the daily time frame, let's go into the hourly, right? If we break out over this 340 level, I think we make that move back to 350. Now we'll have to get some levels up here, but again, I think this makes a lot of sense. We're starting to see some consolidation on Meta, right? So from a consolidation standpoint, not the prettiest of consolidation patterns here, but we do have consolidation, right? Like we do have a pattern of consolidation that we can play to, right? And as you guys know, price consolidation typically leads to range expansion. You hear me say it all the time. That's all we're looking for here. We've got some consolidation. We're looking for a breakout. If we break out over 340, we probably make a pretty substantial move back up. And again, we can go back on this hourly time frame. Right, it'll take us a second to get back here. But we can go back here and we can just say, okay, what does the chart look like once we broke out over this level, right? Where did we go to when we typically broke this level, right? And I'm going to put my line right here. Right in there, right? 341 is the first spot. Okay. Why is that the first spot? Well, again, just like we did when we started the evening on QQQ, very, very similar thing here, right? 340, 341.77, 340, 341.77. We broke out of there again. Here, multiple, rips all the way up, but we've got levels to play to the upside, right? And that's all we're looking for on a name, that's doing this. And same thing here, right? We can even add this level right there. Why would we add a level right there? Well, let's just look left on the chart again, right? Break out over that 341.77. We grab 347.26 and then we consolidate. We hold it as support. We lose it. We come back down, right? We go back up. So we're playing ping pong off these levels. And that's what I'm always looking for when I'm charting levels, right? I'm just looking for areas that, we have like a game of ping pong happening between buyers and sellers. That's ultimately what I'm looking for all the time when I'm creating these levels, right? If I can do that as I'm creating levels, that's going to be huge for me in defining my levels. That's going to be huge for me to be able to make actionable levels on a chart to say, hey, if we break this level, I think we go to this next level, right? Break this spot, go to the next spot. You'll hear me say that all the time. And as a trend trader, that's what I'm doing. That's what I have to do, right? When I'm playing the trend, I have to know that if we break one spot, what is the next spot that, we go to? What is the likelihood or probability that we break this spot and go to the next spot, right? And so that's always what I'm trying to do. And so when I come back here on the, daily time frame on Meta, right? Sorry, there we go. My chart was messed up. Sorry about that. Let's go back here. All right, here's the daily time frame on Meta. And if we go into the hourly now, right? So now I know, right? Break our level, break consolidation. We've got 340 basically. So break over this high, right? Then we've got 341.77. We've got 347.26, 351, and then 354.95. So that's what I'm looking for here, right? Those are the levels to the upside that I'm going to be watching and that I'm looking for on Meta. So let's open up some charts for you guys. I want to see what you guys want to look at. Big Al says, can we look at GM? GM. Let's look at the daily and see where we're at on GM. I already love this daily chart, Big Al, by the way. If you don't know me, you know that I would love this chart because we've got 4 days of consolidation here, right? So on a daily time frame, I love seeing this. Now, how do we trade this? We go into the hourly time. Anytime I always start on the daily time frame, and then I'll go into lower time frame. So I'll go to the hourly now. What do I got on the hourly time frame? Well, I've got consolidation. Can I trade consolidation? Absolutely, right? We might have already broken consolidation, to be honest. We might have continuation tomorrow, right? But here's the consolidation pattern that I'm seeing, right? Consolidate, push up, level to the upside, probably going to be this 28.41 level. And then if we break that, I'd be looking for 28.84. And then the stretch target up here probably of 29.90, 30. That's what I'd be looking for on GM. MJ, I have it up on my phone. It's not blurry on my phone. I'm not sure why it's only going to 720. Let's take a look at Costco though. See what Costco looks like on the daily time frame. I know that was one. Um, Yeah, so Costco here, we could probably add a level. I don't have any levels on Costco. I haven't been trading it. That's probably why. But I'm gonna add a level at 570, 375. And essentially what we've got on Costco here is the potential to see a prior resistance flip to support, right? So resistance at 375.75. We hit it as resistance on October 30th, October 5th, October 17th, October 18th, and October 20th. Then we did it again on November 7th. And then finally on November 10th, we broke through that level. And then what happened on November 13th? We held this support. What happened on November 16th? We held it as support. And then what happened on Friday, November 17th? We held it as support. We also have an inside bar now on Costco. So being that's an inside bar, we likely have consolidation on lower time frames, which again, here we are in the hourly, we have some consolidation to play. We can go even further into the 30-minute and say, what does the 30-minute look like? What does the 15-minute look like, right? We're getting consolidation here. So on the 30-minute chart here, now what we're seeing is definitely consolidation on this name, right? We've got a downtrend on the 30-minute. If we break this 30-minute downtrend, we're likely going to see some continuation back up into that 586 area and then back up towards that 600 level, right? Where we consolidated before. Again, consolidation underneath of a huge, huge level at 600 on Costco. That's, essentially what we see happen a lot, right? So on Costco, I'm just looking for this larger time frame trend to break. If we break to the upside, again, targets 586, then we're going to be looking at 590, and then above that, probably the 600 level. Now, if we break downside from 573.75, then we have levels to play to the downside that we've been playing, or that we have played in the past. But going out to Costco, now you guys see why I said 600 was going to be that next target to the upside on the weekly time frame when we broke this weekly. If I turn off my levels, right, you'll see why I said 600 is the target. Let me turn these levels back on. We consolidated on Costco, right, all the way from April 8th of 2022 until we finally broke out on May 26th of 2023. Over a year of consolidation on a weekly chart. I've never seen a chart coil as much as this one was. And I said, if we break upside, Costco has a really, really good shot to go back and get that 600 level. Where do we bounce so far? We essentially went all the way to 600. We went to a high of 599.89. Costco finally went to that 600 level last week. Now, what do we have on the weekly time frame though? We've got a big blow off top on the weekly, right? We've got daily candles that push us up and then daily candles that pulled us right back down. So that is not a good look on the weekly time frame, but what is good is that we are holding this 573.75. If we break 573.75, expect this type of move to happen right here and then again right here. Okay? At a minimum, this is the move that we could be playing for, right? That could be the first target. We break 573.75. Now we're looking for 561.66. If we lose 561.66, then we know there's a very high probability we go back to the 550 area, right? Because we've seen it happen. First, we went to 561.66 here, right? On the daily time frame in 3 days. We did that at the beginning of November. We went all the way down to 550 essentially on October 20th. And then here on October 6th, we went all the way down for a low of 541. So stretch targets could be 550, 541. First target would be 561. That's what I'd be looking for. So that's kind of what I'm looking at on Costco. Now the other chart that I was asked to look at is CVS. I don't really trade CVS that much. I think I've traded it maybe once or twice. But on CVS, right on the weekly time frame, we do have consolidation. We have a downtrend on the weekly time frame. I don't have any levels here, so you guys can see, right? Like we do have like a trend here. We've got some consolidation on the weekly time frame. So we've got consolidation, we've got a wedge, and you guys just saw what happened on Costco when we start to wedge for a while. Well, we've been wedging here on CVS since the summer, July basically. We've been stuck in this wedge. Now, if we go upside or downside, that's to be determined here. We'll see what happens. But that's where my eyes are kind of fixated at here on CVS on the weekly time frame. Now, if I go to the daily time frame, what does that look like? Very, very similar, right? We've got a very, very similar trend pattern here. We're just stuck in consolidation, right? Now, on the daily time frame, specifically here, we've got 4 days that are kind of consolidating. So what can we get out of this, right? Well, we see here when we consolidate for multiple days, we typically get a nice move out of that, right? Consolidation here, get a nice move down out of it. Consolidate 2 days, get a nice move down out of it, right? That's kind of what I'm looking at here. Like, so when we go to the hourly time frame, if I take these consolidation patterns off, which are the weekly, here's the hourly, right? So what do we have going on the hourly time frame here? What's happening on the hourly? Very, very similar to that daily, right? Here's the hourly, very tight hourly consolidation pattern, right? So when we break out of this on CVS, could be a very, very nice move out of this pattern from a technical analysis standpoint. Now, you're going to have levels charted to know what your targets are going to be to the upside and the downside, but that's a very, very nice, very, very nice pattern here on CVS for a consolidation breakout type of play. Let's look at Uber, and then I want to look at the Bitcoin miners as well going into the week. Yeah, Uber 1 hour, that's consolidating a lot. It's had a pretty big move up. Daily, again, kind of looks very, very overextended. New 52-week highs on Uber. So yeah, I mean, I don't know that Uber makes that run all the way back to 64. They're still super, super unprofitable. So I don't know that technicals would allow this to happen in this type of interest rate environment. But what you're seeing on Uber and on this growth name has me super, super excited. So Uber, yeah, consolidation on the hourly for sure. But Uber, what you're seeing on the growth name has me really, really excited for Zoom, right? Why am I excited for Zoom, right? What could I possibly be excited for, in this name and Zoom? Well, the answer is we haven't seen, we've seen the ARKK names move very, very well outside of earnings, right? We've seen them have really big moves on earnings. We've seen a lot of these growth names go up 15, 20% on earnings. I think Zoom could be one that does the exact same thing, right? I think Zoom is one that we could see a move back to 70 on Zoom on this earnings report. We could see a move all the way back here to 75 if we really gap. If we go 20%, Zoom's going back to 76, right? So Zoom's coming back here. Now, I don't know that that's going to happen, but when we look at all the other ARKK names like this, we've seen moves like this happen in this last earnings cycle. So I think Zoom has the chance to make that move. And again, Zoom's not going to go back to all-time high off this move, clearly, but Zoom does have a chance here to make a big move for two reasons. One, depending on what earnings does, and specifically because ARKK names have ran outside of earnings during this earnings cycle. And two, the segue that I'm going to go to is because of Bitcoin. Anytime Bitcoin starts to run, speculative growth stocks typically run with it. Why is it? I don't know the technical answer behind it. Maybe it's because, people are more risk on in these environments. When you've got a highly speculative crypto name moving like Bitcoin, people feel like they can be more risk on some other riskier stocks. But Bitcoin doing what it's doing, we've got a shot on Bitcoin, to get 38K. If we grab 38K on Bitcoin, we can chart this just like we would chart any other chart, guys, right? Like weekly has broken out on Bitcoin. Like we are going to get $40,000 on Bitcoin. Full-heartedly, I believe that, right? Why is that? Because we broke out on the weekly of this 35K level, right? And again, let's look left to right, same way we've done in the past, left to right. What happened last time when we lost 35K? We went down to our next weekly level of support at 31.9. However, this weekly level at 35 was prior support, right? And here again, we broke out to 35. We went all the way to 40. We came back down and then we pushed back up and we broke over 35. We went all the way back up here to about 61K. Now, I'm not saying Bitcoin goes back to 61K. In fact, my first target on Bitcoin would probably be 42K. Then I'd be looking for 45K, right? I'm looking for this area right in here. However, prior support, right, becomes resistance, resistance. Now it's support again. So if Bitcoin pushes from 35 and goes, which it has, and we break 38K, I think we've got a really good shot at getting 40K. And then I think we've got a good shot at getting 45K. And so to that point, Dark Tot, yes, names like Coin, names like Mara, all of those names, guys, like that's why I said, and I've been very, very adamant. I've been very clear on this. I said it on Voice the other day. Coin, I think, has a very, very good chance at going back to $160 a share. I know it sounds crazy. I know it makes me sound like a lunatic. If we can get a weekly candle close on Coin over 105, I think this name makes a move back to 150, 160, right? Why is that? Well, again, if we look at support and resistance on the weekly time frame here, right? Support, break it, fall all the way down here to 113, fall all the way down here to 105, right? So on the weekly time frame, if we get this weekly candle close here, you know, above 105, I think we've got a chance, and an even better chance if we get it over 113. We get a weekly candle close over 113. This thing's got rocket fuel to go get 160, and I think that that's going to happen if Bitcoin can get 40K, if Bitcoin can go to 45K. I think you're going to see a really nice run on some of these names, specifically Coin and the names like Mara as well. Let's take a look at Mara. Mara, I think, is really interesting to me because it's got like a 30% short float. So and we've seen what this name does when it squeezes, right? See, this name was back at 30, 80, 83. I remember trading this, right? When Mara was down here. This is the COVID run, right? Here we're at like $2 a share. It goes all the way to, $10. Then it goes all the way up here to $49. Then it goes to 83. Just crazy, crazy moves there when Bitcoin was running really, really hard. So if Bitcoin breaks out, which technically it has broken out, if Bitcoin continues to go, I think a name like Mara makes a ton of sense here. And on the daily time frame, what do we got here? Right? We've got consolidation with an uptrend. Right? Now this is going to look a little scary because I've got a lot of levels here. But we've got a pattern that is looking something like this, right? Give or take something in this vicinity. We've got an uptrend, right? So for me, what I think we could see here is an uptrend pattern with clear resistance overhead, right? 1046 is a huge key level. We saw this happen before. What happened when we consolidated right here? Consolidation broke 1046. Where do we go to? All the way back up to 20, right? What are we getting right now? Consolidation right around that daily level. And what's going to happen when we break 1046? Well, if we break 1046, we probably go back to at least 1318, right? We go back to at least this area right here where we broke out of hourly consolidation. You guys remember when we played that hourly consolidation on Mara? Broke out of here and just absolutely exploded. We're getting consolidation again here on the daily time frame. Now, if we go into the hourly, are there any particular patterns that are setting up for me? Not right now, right? We do have a little bit of consolidation here on the hourly, but more specifically, I really want to see a move, an hourly candle close over this 1046, because when that happens, I think we're going to see a very similar move to what we saw right here, right? 1046 to 1166 to 1318. Get 1318. If we hold 1318 and go higher, then we're going to see this type of move right here, back into that 16, back into that 20 spot. So that's what I'm looking at on Mara. But Bitcoin holds the keys of this kingdom. Once Bitcoin starts to go, I think we're going to start to see these names go as well. I don't know if Bitcoin's going to go this week, but that's why I always keep it on watch, and I'll make sure we watch it in pre-market tomorrow. Always keep your eyes on Bitcoin, because when Bitcoin starts to run, you don't want to miss these moves on Mara, on Coin, on some of these names that are heavily, heavily shorted. And so that's what I'm going to be watching this week, guys. If you have any other chart requests, make sure you drop them in. I'll take a look at them. One name that we didn't look at, which I know a lot of you trade, and I think is setting up for a really big move. Let's real quick, let me talk about Tesla. Tesla on the daily is looking pretty good. Potential for an inverse head and shoulders here, with the head here, a shoulder here, a shoulder here. Don't know if we're going to see this type of move play out on Tesla, but just wanted to point it out here that, we've got a chance on Tesla to go back and grab this like 266 area. I said it on Friday, if we could break to, I think the level I was talking about was 238. If we break 238, we probably make a move back to 245. And you can see on the daily time frame why I said that. If I go into the hourly, it makes even more sense. All right, come up here. I said if we break this 238 level, let me go into the 15, turn extended on. I'll show you exactly what I was looking for. Right here, it did happen, right? We broke 234. We went to close to 238. If we get 238, then I think we make that move back to 245. Then we've got room to 252. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be watching on Tesla. We'll see what happens with Tesla, but the other name that we didn't talk about was Apple. MJ actually, oh nice, MJ just pointed that out. Apple, we've got clear resistance at 190, so we'll have to see what happens at 190. But you see here on the 15-minute time frame, we lost 190. Rejection, multiple rejections all day Friday at 190 on the 15-minute chart. So before getting long on Apple, you're going to want to see a 15-minute candle close above 190, because we could not get that, after 10 o'clock on Friday. All day long, we could not get that 15-minute candle close during regular trading hours. If we look at the hourly time frame, turn off the extended, right? We are consolidating a little bit on Apple, much like we are on QQQ. So one could even play a horizontal consolidation pattern here on Apple and wait for a breakout. Ideally, though, you'd want to see this, you'll know when we get a move over 190, we'll get a big hourly candle close, big bullish engulfing candle close. We probably get 192, and then we get 194.51. Now, if we can't hold Friday's low, then I'd be targeting that 187 level, right? If we go back into the 15-minute, if we turn off extended, if we can't hold this area here, Friday's low, we've kind of got a demand pocket, right? Like, and I'm not a big supply and demand trader, but I can speak the language a little bit, right? Essentially, somewhere in this pocketed area, they'll draw them down to the wick sometimes, but for me, it's just like, look, this area right here, if we can't hold this area, if we can't hold it, we probably fall back down into this 187.63 level. And then we've got, obviously levels play the downside because this was support here, support here. If we can't hold it, we could even say the low down here from October 14th or November 14th, and then down to the next level, 184. But 190 is the key on Apple. Got to break 190. If we break 190, we probably see some momentum to the upside, but we'll have to see what happens there because I don't know ultimately if we're going to get that or not. One more name, Microsoft, since, we're already talking about blue chip stocks. We might as well talk about Microsoft. Had the news on Friday about Sam Altman with OpenAI. These contracts went absolutely crazy. This is, that's a news trade right there that, I wouldn't say we're in new season, but seemingly something happened with the board. It sounds like he might be coming back. So this could be a dead cat bounce type of play here. I think people overreacted to that news on Sam Altman and OpenAI. Just me, but I think it was kind of like a Friday, like scare news, like, oh God, Sam Altman's out as CEO. I think people got really, really scared, but you can see where it bounced, right? We got a nice hammer candle on the 15-minute right off that 366 level. If QQQ starts to rip, like Microsoft could be a gift down here, right? Like Microsoft could be an absolute gift because essentially what we did was we fell from all-time highs on Microsoft, right? We fell 3%, which is huge. That's absolutely huge right there to fall 3%. And more specifically, right, we sold when that news came out, we sold basically 2%. So we can get a nice 2% return back on Microsoft. We could see us back up at 372, and those contracts could pay huge. So I will be keeping an eye on Microsoft early in the week to see if this is going to be a dead cat bounce type of play, or are they going to continue to sell it? Because I did see there was news circulating where the board actually wants Sam Altman back, which would be, obviously bullish for the stock if those same people that sold it when he apparently left or he was ousted, if he's coming back, I would expect those same people that sold probably to pick it up at a discount right here. Hey, I sold up here and I can buy Microsoft even cheaper down here. Now that Sam's coming back, they're probably going to be buying it. So that's kind of what I'm looking at this week, guys. Again, short week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is when I'll be trading. Probably won't be trading on Friday. Markets are closed on Thursday. Best Buy earnings, I'm interested in that. I'm interested in Fujitsu earnings on Thursday as well. I think they come out before. They're like in the morning on Thursday. So we can maybe trade an IV crush on Friday on that. And then obviously NVIDIA earnings on Tuesday. That's going to be very interesting. And that's going to move names like AMD, ABGO, SMCI might move as well. And then ARM could move as well off NVIDIA earnings. So that's what I'm going to be watching this week, guys. Been going at this for about 55 minutes now. I think I've given you guys everything that I'm watching this week. And so really excited to have another good week over in Alpine. I'm going to be giving you guys all my pre-market watch list again in the morning, live trading tomorrow as well. So super, super excited about that. Thanks everyone for coming on. Appreciate MJ for throwing in some chart requests. These reviews are for me to give you guys ideas of what I'm looking at, and then ultimately for you guys to give me chart ideas as well that you want me to look at to review something that you might be seeing. So appreciate all you guys. If there's any other charts you want me to look at, just drop them in the chart idea area in the premium chat over in Discord, and I'll be sure to chart them for you and look at them and see if they make sense. But good eyes, MJ, on Costco and CVS. CVS specifically, that's a really good price consolidation setup. So I appreciate everyone. I'm going to get some rest, and I will see you guys tomorrow morning ready to bank. Let's get it. Let's have a good week. And let's make sure that we are, preserving capital. That way we can, stuff our faces on Thursday with a good old American Thanksgiving dinner. So appreciate you guys. I'll talk to you soon. See you tomorrow.